When We Were Young, 2024, all album plays, 57 records in total. And we at the Emo Social Club, we got to know these records.
We have to listen to all of them.
On this episode, we are talking about the Wonder Years, the greatest generation. Lizzie, before we start talking about our takes on this record, what we think, whether we liked or disliked it, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Wonder Years and the greatest generation?
This was the fourth album by the Wonder Years. It was produced by Steve Evans, who actually produced their one album, Suburbia, I've Given You All and Now I'm Nothing. Came out May 14, 2013 via Hopeless Records. This is like the third piece within a trilogy of them coming out with albums that basically talk about growing up in different phases of your life, and specifically the phases of Dan Soupy Campbell. The first single off of this album is Passing Through a Screen Door. That was released through Absolute Punk that March before it came out. In April, they released the second single, Dismantling Summer, on Alt Press. This release did really, really well on the Billboard charts. This was their first release to actually be in like the top 20. They were number 20 out of 200 for Billboard 200. And they came in at number 4 on Billboard's Alternative Albums charts and number 2 on the Billboard Tastemaker charts. Rolling Stone listed this album as number 41 on their 50 greatest pop punk albums.
We're going to get into our takes on this record, but before we do, we are talking about all 57 records being played at the festival this year, so make sure that you are subscribed to our channel. We have more videos coming out. We have more reviews coming out. We have reviews where we've talked to the bands that are already out. We got reviews where we're going to talk to other people in other bands or on the internet about some of the records, and the only way you'll know when those drop is to be subscribed. So hit the button down there, give it a like if you like it. That lets more people know about the videos altogether and about the channel. And check the playlist where we have all of our reviews that we've already done and have already been published. And just stick with us. We got a lot going on. We got a lot going on here at the club. These are my takes on the Wonder Years, the greatest generation. So the Wonder Years is one of those bands that I have so many people in my life who swear by this band. And it's a lot of people who are like just a couple years younger than me. The problem with me is that this band kind of came at the very end of my interest in the scene, right? Mm-hmm. So this record being 2013, but previous Wonder Years records coming out, I was kind of moving into new genres and kind of exploring other stuff because I'd kind of done a lot in the emo scene. That was my high school career. That was even my college career. So I'm moving out, right?
Yeah.
Wonder Years comes out and I'm like, I'm not really into this style of music. I'm not really looking for new bands in this. I'm looking for new genres. I'm looking for new stuff. So the Wonder Years just never was on my palette. They were never something that I was listening to. But in the last few years, they did a tour on this record. We went to that tour. We've seen the Wonder Years many times. We talked with Dan.
Yeah.
So obviously the Wonder Years is a mainstay. They are a top tier band in the pop punk scene. They're a top tier band in just the anything that has been Warped Tour adjacent and When We Were Young and all this other stuff. So it's kind of impossible for me now not to like the Wonder Years because they are inundating my life. This record bangs. This record bangs. I think the thing about the Wonder Years is that they started doing this sound of pop punk, and a lot of people took this sound and made it way less interesting after them. But the Wonder Years has always kept it very interesting. And this record is a lot of those cliches in pop punk, realizing that it's because I've listened to bands post the Wonder Years, and then I come back to it and I go, oh, the Wonder Years did it first. And they made it way more interesting. So there's a lot on this record where I'm like, that sounds like every other pop punk band, but the Wonder Years does it so good. So I was listening to this record just thinking oh my God, this is gonna be the same State Champs ass riff. And then it's no, they did it. They did it. And no shade to State Champs. I really like the parts where it gets softer and goes louder. Mm. The dynamics on this record are very good. And Dan Campbell's vocals on this record are so good. He's not so shouty all the time, like a lot of bands in the genre could do. He has more singing parts, really soft parts on it. And then he gets really loud and more yelly, but it's not too at the end of his vocals. It's not he's screaming and there's no end to it. He's very melodic, and I really like his vocals on this record. So overall, very, very positive on this. My top 3 tracks, from The Greatest Generation by the Wonder Years. A lot of these could be switched out, but the one that definitely cannot be is There, the album opener. Oh my God. Oh my God. What an opener. Crusher. Absolute crusher. This is one of those songs where he does that like softer singing, more emotional singing. I don't think anyone listens to the Wonder Years anymore and doesn't like want that kind of like gut wrenching feeling from the vocals. This is like, you start with this song and you get every bit of what the Wonder Years does. It's amazing lyrically. It's amazing vocally. Like it is a fucking phenomenal opener. The rest, I'm like, there's a lot that I could have put in here. Teenage Parents, though, really stuck out to me on a couple listens. I really liked the storytelling of this. I really liked how the lyrics were not just about like the same things that we hear in pop punk. It had a very interesting story to it. I think when you get into like storytelling like this and like talking about like Americana and like this sort of thing, it gets very Bruce Springsteen style. But I don't think there's enough people doing like storytelling in this style. It keeps your interest because there's more to it. I almost put Dismantling Summer in here because that song fucking bangs. But I picked for my third one A Rain Dance in Traffic because I was like, this is just a heater. It's a good pop punk banger. It's very straightforward in the pop punk genre and scene, but I think it does something super interesting with it. It kept my attention the whole time, like a lot of songs on this. So that's just the third one. I could have picked a lot. I could have swapped in a few on here. My least favorite track on The Greatest Generation by the Wonder Years, I'm just going to say Madeline is a skip. I think that the only issue with this is like the lo-fi, like back of the room vocals, like the way that the vocals sound on it. I'm like, okay, it's fine. It's just like the songwriting itself is okay. It's just the sound and the feel of it. Like I'm like, everything else that I've been hearing, the more emotional parts of other songs do better to me. Devil in Your Bloodstream is another ballad on this. I'm like, that's a perfect ballad. So this more like acoustic ballad at the end of the record, I'm like, I can skip it. And I don't feel bad about it. And I'm like, hey, it's just maybe it's there, but it's not like the best track you've got on this record. The worst lyric. Jesus Christ, I'm 26. All the people I graduated with all have kids, all have wives, all have people who care if they come home at night. Well, Jesus Christ, did I fuck up? At 26? No, you did not. There's so much time. There's so much time left. You will feel bad forever. And you'll be wondering these same questions at 36, probably at 46. You will die alone no matter when. 26? Oh no. Dan. Dan.
I mean, I will say though, like I started to notice a lot of my friends start to get into serious relationships and or get engaged when I was 26.
Yes.
And I was like, hey, yo, what? I think we're children, actually. I don't think you can do that.
This record coming out in 2013 already came out when I was past 26. So at no point since this record's inception was I ever going to identify with that lyric.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, I have the moment to call it out and be like, you probably look back at that and you go, oh no, it's every year. It's every age. You will always feel that way.
I feel nowadays though, because obviously like the pandemic and so many other things have shifted how we perceive like when are you supposed to settle down? I think it's shifted to like probably like early 30s to mid 30s now.
Yes, Honda P.
I've had a lot of friends start to have that like coming to Jesus moment. I'm like, why? You're just like starting
You're just
your
a little
life.
baby.
And it's just like so crazy to me to even think at like 26. Like I was still figuring things out when I was 26.
Yep.
I'm still 29. I'm still trying to figure things out. I have no idea what's going on half the time. I'm just here vibing and hoping for the best.
I'm obviously being a little tongue in cheek with this. It's a phenomenal lyric. Like that is a fire verse, but like I hear it and I can't go like 10 years later. I know you don't agree with that. You could change it to 36 right now and feel the exact same way about it. It's, I think that speaks well to it. I think it's a timeless song. Passing Through a Screen Door is where that's from. So it's timeless. I think this record's timeless. I think it speaks to generations from, forever. I think it's just a very good, like, coming of age story. And I loved it. I think it was great. So shout out to Wonder Years for this.
Wow. Here are my thoughts on the Wonder Years' Greatest Generation. So I've seen this band even before like I met you so many times. And they would always be the headliner or like the sub headliner. Even this time around when we saw them, went for the openers, we went for Friends in Action Adventure. And obviously we've still seen them, and we have interviewed Dan and we've interviewed Casey. I never really listened to this band. I knew like the singles. I knew the singles, and I knew about their main mascot, which is the big pigeon. Like that was that's my entire world of the Wonder Years. Like, I just never got into it. The Wonder Years always keep this sound that's very similar, that is more defining of that generation of pop punk. It's almost like if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of mentality, but not in like a bad way. The big storytelling aspect, because this is all pretty much from Danny Campbell's life. I think that this album really hits it on the head. And, you know, maybe it found me at a time where I needed it more, where I, you know, if I found it when I was 26, it probably would not have hit me the same. Maybe one of their older albums probably would have. But I think that this is a really good, like, diary moment. And I think it does it well.
So you like the record?
I did like the record, yes. Yes, I did.
I was like, I think she just glazed it, but I'm not really sure. She said, I loved it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. My top songs from the Wonder Years' Greatest Generation are There. I put this on first thing in the morning because I was like, I got to get up. I got to get ready. Let me just start to listen to this album so I can get a head start on it. It started and it made me feel I was in my Lizzie McGuire opening scene moment.
Ooh.
I literally was asleep, put it on.
Oh my God.
I got up and I was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom and brush my teeth and get ready. Like this whole montage. And I stopped when I was walking back to like pick up my outfit for the day. And I'm like, am I in a Disney Channel original movie right now?
Okay.
So I really liked it for that reason. I think that was fun. The Bastards, the Vultures, and the Wolves. This one I really liked a lot more sonically because it gave this like post-hardcore vibe. Which I thought was different from what they were doing, but it was like sprinkled in. So you're already kind of like in the vibe of it. And then you're like, ooh,
yeah,
that's nice. Like that hits.
Ooh, that's nice.
And again, like they're able to do stuff that's a little bit different, but make it attainable to their main audience. And I think that's a really hard thing to do, especially once you've garnered like such a following.
Yeah.
Because if you try to divert too far away from certain soundscapes, people get like really angry about it. So my last one that I really like was Cul-de-sac. Having the lyric on the album in general of Jesus Christ in 26 and listening to the lyrics of this, it just starts to say like, oh, wow, like I'm at a time in my life where I'm going to come up to a fork in my road and I really want to keep like these relationships with all these people I've had for years and years. And I'm feeling bad because some of them are going through like a really destructive path. And I would really want them to come along with me in it. Like, is so heartbreaking that it's probably not going to happen. And I think nowadays we can interpret it as, you know, anything that is very serious, anything that just is even minor, and you just feel heartbreak for anything like that.
Lightly inconvenienced, and I feel heartbreak.
I'm feeling This one like kind of hit me a little bit more, and I think cul-de-sacs, obviously, a lot of this is like we're in the suburbs, and this is what's happening, and I, you know, don't hate my town yet, and I want to leave, or I left my town because I hate it. Now I'm back. I think this kind of just puts into perspective overall on the album of this is like really hard to go through because everyone's going to go through these different life phases. And I think the way that the lyrics are built within themselves, they're so easy to connect with, but are still intricate enough in a way that it paints a really good picture that is just easily relatable to anybody who's listening to it. My least favorite tracks from the Wonder Years' Greatest Generation, it wasn't like that bad to me, but We Could Die Like This. I feel like the intro was a little bit too generic pop punk. Originally, I was like, is this a Blink-182 song?
Yeah.
And I wasn't too like impressed with it. I feel like they were trying to obviously do some type of callback to the earlier works. Mm-hmm. And I understand that. It just didn't really do anything for me. I didn't like really hate it, but I was like, I could skip it if I was actively paying attention to what I was listening to and if I just didn't have it on the background.
This record is so good. That's what we thought. We liked it. We're right. There's no need for anyone else's opinion, but we got them anyway. We went to Amazon, we went to the critics, and we have some other people's thoughts on this record. I'm going to read a couple reviews from Amazon, let you know what people out there took the time to write on the website. I will say the majority of the reviews on this are very positive. So I think the people who came to review were like, we love this record. We got to let the people know. There are not a lot of people who came in to review the record's music negatively. So I'm going to read a couple positive reviews, and I'm going to read one negative review, which were the only real ones I could find that were interesting enough to read. This review is from Tom S. from 2013, 5 stars. Best Wonder Years record is the title of it.
Okay.
I am not a fan of this band's older stuff. It was always too generic for me. I had heard their style of music for 17 years. There was nothing fresh. Moving on. This album rocks. There is hardly a bad track on this album. I have spun this record about 25 times and it still rocks. This pushes their style to an amazing record.
All right, that's simple. Straight to the point.
Yep. I used to fucking hate this band.
This
now,
band sucks, but now they fuck.
from sucks to fuck.
The greatest come up.
This review is from Jeremy G. This is also from 2013. 3 stars.
Oh.
Could have been so much more. The Greatest Generation has its moments. However, it fails to deliver as effectively as its predecessor did. However, Suburbia was such an outstanding album, one can only expect the next to fall a little short. Highlight tracks, as far as I'm concerned, are Passing Through a Screen Door and Teenage Parents. I would akin this album to 4 Year Strong's effort in some way, shape, or form, in respect that it was a little hit or miss after their last album that really took off. I would really grade this album as a C+, as while it has some catchy tunes, it seems a little disjointed and does not speak to me in the same fashion that Suburbia did. I still think this is an excellent band, really one of my favorites, and I'll be buying the next album anyway.
Well, that's... All right.
Didn't lose a fan on this one.
We really only have one critic review for this because... Again, I really was hard-pressed to find anything that said anything negative. And it's not because I want to. We just want to have some type of balance and, like, comparison and contraction if it's available.
Yeah.
Nothing really was available.
Yeah.
The one that I found that was 4 out of 5 stars was on Punk News by Pop Punk Is Not Dead, written November 2013. So we get into this with the Wonder Years seem to have struck a chord, albeit and oftentimes overmodulated one, with the 17 to 20-somethings and our mainstays at Warped Tour as well as other punk rock festivals. Although The Greatest Generation doesn't possess a single quite as formidable, it is their most well-rounded album and a sign that the Wonder Years are ready to share the spotlight with an increasingly short list of top-notch active pop punkers. The theme of self-doubt reoccurs throughout the album, inspiring some passionate and well-written lyrics. Almost every one of these tracks is so personal that it feels as if the band recorded their sit-down sessions with a psychiatrist, transcribed their conversations, and plugged them into the lyrics.
Yeah.
The Greatest Generation comes to a head in its final track, I Just Want to Sell Out My Funeral, an anthem-like 7-minute production interweaving lyrics and instrumentals from the previous 12 songs into a memorable finale. Think Fall Out Boy's What a Catch, Donnie, for comparison.
Okay.
Had to keep that in there.
Hell yeah. That's why you picked this review.
I did.
It said Fall Out Boy.
Honestly. The album isn't without the down points, as American Religion, FSF, and Madeline are undoubtedly filler songs. Those hiccups, however, should be overlooked. The Greatest Generation is a powerful, personal, and creative masterpiece that is undoubtedly the capstone of the Wonder Years' career to this point. It won't go down as one of the genre's greatest albums, but it's a massive leap in the right direction for the band who, in the minds of many, are the best at it.
We've heard from the experts, us. We've heard from the experts, critics. We've heard from the experts, Amazon reviewers. Everyone liked this record, so everyone's an expert. So now that we've said our piece on this record, should we see it played in full at When We Were Young Fest? Well, we saw the record on their tour.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that like knows it so much better now, and we didn't know it at the tour. We went for other reasons, but we enjoyed it. The performance was great. The Wonder Years is a phenomenally good live band. Always brings the energy, always brings, like, they sound like the record live. I think if I heard the first 2 songs, if I checked out the set for There and Passing Through a Screen Door, I'd be fine. it's really going to depend on timing with it, because we did already see it. That I don't feel so strongly about needing to see it again, I guess.
Yeah, I agree, because when we did see it already, and I think that was the biggest conflict, is that it's one of those, hey, you saw a band or you saw an album or something for once live and you just didn't connect with it, and then eventually you could go sit down and listen to it and you're like, oh my God, this is so good.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is, but I personally, I've seen them so many times, and they're a good show every single time. If you haven't seen the Wonder Years in general, you should go and see them. I would go for maybe like the first half or first couple of songs, most definitely, and then I would go to whatever other act is playing. But if it's like a direct conflict with a not miss band for me personally, I would most likely skip it, and then most likely see the Wonder Years when they guarantee come back through Chicago.
I mean, they're doing a tour, not playing the record. So for us, like, we get to hear the songs we really like.
Yeah.
Probably. I think that anybody who does not know the Wonder Years yet should, as somebody who took a while to get into them, definitely go listen to them and go see this record. If you have not, if you didn't go to the tour, definitely go see this record. They put on a great show and they sound amazing. And this record is heartbreaking, and you'll get that in the live experience as well, because everyone around you will be crying.
Yeah, and crying with the homies is fun sometimes.
That's where we will be at When We Were Young 2024 for the Wonder Years. What do you think? Were we right? Were we wrong? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe while you're down there commenting your thoughts. I know you got them. Hit the like button if you liked it, so that it lets more people know that we exist, that we thought this record was great. If you agreed with us, then you have to hit the like button.
Legally.
Mandatory, legal. The legal team will be reaching out if you did not. So until the next time, until the next review, until the Wonder Years Greatest Generation, we'll see you there.